Greetings. Probably everyone has heard of Marcus Junius Brutus, one of the organizers of the assassination of Gaius Julius Caesar, aiming to restore the Roman Republic. However, in this video, I will tell you about his distant ancestor, Lucius Junius Brutus. He led the uprising against the last Roman king, Tarquin the Proud, and, thanks to his victory, the monarchical form of government in ancient Rome ceased to exist, and the Republic was established, lasting for more than 500 years. So, the last Roman king, Tarquin the Proud, ruled the state relying on unlawful methods, sentencing citizens to executions and exile, depriving them of life, property, and homeland if they were displeasing or suspicious to him. Tarquin treated everyone, without exception, arrogantly, disregarding the merits and dignity of his fellow citizens. Lucius Junius Brutus was the nephew of Tarquin the Proud, the son of his sister. Tarquin executed Lucius' father and brother and took possession of their family property. Fearing for his own fate, Lucius Junius began to feign idiocy, earning his famous nickname Brutus, which means dullard or fool. Supposedly, out of stupidity, he ceded his share of the property to Tarquin and quietly lived at his court, enduring mockery, but harboring a deep desire for revenge. Once, Tarquin's sons went on a journey to Delphi to consult the oracle about their future. They took Brutus with them, more for amusement than as a companion. Upon arriving in Delphi, the royal sons presented the god Apollo with valuable gifts. Brutus, as usual, amused everyone. He offered the oracle his travel staff, made either of horn or cherry wood. However, the staff was hollowed out and contained a golden rod, hinting that Brutus was not as simple as he appeared. The young men wished to know who among them would inherit the royal power in Rome. From the depths of the cave, a voice declared, "Supreme power in Rome will belong to the one among you who first kisses his mother." The young men agreed to leave the decision to chance. The first to kiss their mother would be the one she approached first. But only Brutus understood the hidden meaning of the oracle's answer. Pretending to stumble, he fell and kissed the earth, for she is the common mother of all people. Then the delegation returned to Rome. The next time Brutus appears in the accounts of Roman historians is in the case of Lucretia, which I mentioned in one of my previous videos. Let me briefly remind you of this story. Tarquin's son, Sextus, raped Lucretia, the wife of a Roman nobleman. The next morning, Lucretia invited her husband and fathers to come to her, and to each bring another witness. These witnesses were the well-known Publius Valerius Publicola, and our subject, Brutus. Lucretia recounted what had happened, and, in front of those gathered, took her own life. While her husband and father wept, Brutus, holding the sword drawn from Lucretia's wound and stained with her blood, said, "By this chaste blood I swear, and I call you gods as witnesses, that I will pursue Lucius Tarquinius Superbus with his wicked wife, and all their offspring, with the sword, fire, and whatever means I can, and I will not allow them or anyone else to reign in Rome." He then handed the sword to the others present, who were stunned by the unexpected display of intelligence from Brutus. What followed is well known. The conspirators carried Lucretia's body to the Forum, and the outraged people drove Tarquin from the throne. A republic was established in Rome. At the head of the Roman state were placed 2 consuls, elected by the General Assembly of the people for a term of 1 year. The first consuls of the Roman Republic were elected: Lucius Junius Brutus, and Lucretia's husband, Lucius Tarquinius Collatinus. Contrary to the Romans' expectations, Tarquin the Proud was in no hurry to declare war on his former subjects. Instead, he focused on bribing the wavering ones, especially among Rome's so-called golden youth. Just listen to the argument of these young men, as recorded by Titus Livy. From the king, one can beg for what is needed, whether it be lawful or unlawful, but the laws are deaf and unyielding, and they are much better for the weak than for the strong, and if you transgress them, there is neither leniency nor mercy. Tarquin's envoys, who arrived in Rome and presented the former king's demand for the return of his property, exploited this discontent. While the consuls and senate deliberated, the envoys distributed Tarquin's letters among the opposition, resulting in a conspiracy to restore Tarquin's power in Rome. However, the plot was overheard by a slave of one of the conspirators who reported it to the consuls, and the rebellion was suppressed. The conspirators were captured during a meal with Tarquin's envoys. They were found with letters in which assurances were given to Tarquin about their readiness to overthrow the republic in Rome and restore the monarchy. To Brutus's great horror, among the conspirators, besides his wife's brother, were both his sons, Titus and Tiberius. Brutus did not try to save his children. He confirmed the sentence and stoically endured their execution. The execution was brutal. The condemned were scourged to death with rods. When Tarquin the Proud learned that his hopes for the conspiracy had collapsed, he gathered an army from the Etruscans and marched on Rome. The Etruscan mercenaries were promised rich spoils after the capture of Rome. Cavalry led each army. On the Roman side, it was led by Brutus, and on Tarquin's side by his son Aruns. As soon as Aruns saw Brutus, he shouted, "Gods, avengers of kings, help me!" and charged at Brutus. Brutus also rode towards Aruns, and they thrust their spears with such force that they pierced each other's shields and fell dead from their horses. Thus died Lucius Junius Brutus, the founder of the Roman Republic. After his death, a year-long mourning period was declared, during which Roman women lamented Brutus as the stern avenger of violated female honor. Thus, the story of Lucius Junius Brutus concludes. Until next time,